Hey, you guys, welcome back to my obsession. And this is the Spyderco Kapara. And I just wanted to do like an overview slash review, I guess you could say. Well, duh. And I just, okay, so I did carry this knife, even though it's kind of like this was a gift to uh, my pal, Android Goat. So I just kind of didn't want to carry it in where it would be seen in public a lot, but I mean, who cares? Whatever. Nobody knows that that's not for me. Anyway, this is an Alistair Phillips design. He is an Australian designer. So this, for that reason, I think that and just the overall shape and quality of this knife just had me intrigued about it. So I wanted to do kind of a full review for you guys. Now the blade shape, as you can see, is it's super cool. It's super like original. It's unique. You don't see a sheep's foot type of blade in this shape whatsoever. It's a full flat grind, which is awesome because if you think about it, along with the fact that they put washers instead of, they easily could have put bearings in there, but I think they intended this for food processing use. And this would be a great candidate for that, especially a steak in a restaurant, vegetables at home, fruit, whatever. It's a great paring knife, but also just a great prep knife. The fact that the liner lock is in the back, well, the compression lock, the washers are easily clean outable. It's just overall, it was well thought out by this guy, and I'm not really familiar with him, so I kind of had to look him up a little bit. And that's where I just got the information that he was an Australian, and he named it after a spider. Actually, I think it's like a spider that you can only. It's indigenous to Australia, so it's a huge spider, whatever. Venomous, and I already forgot the information about the actual spider, but the knife and how I feel about the knife is the handles. First of all, let's talk about how I don't know if these are aftermarket scales. I think they are, but they're nicely contoured. So this relatively neutral grip is really easy to get a hold of. And if you're not choking up and you do have your full hand back here, you can still get a really nice purchase and push cut. It's There's no jimping here. The only thing I can think as to the reason why they didn't put jimping is possibly because of food processing, so that stuff doesn't get caught between the jumps. Otherwise, I don't really know. But it's not like you would really need the jimping for what I would assume you would use this for. Now, I did use it on some cardboard, and the S30V works perfectly fine. I still like S30V, even though people have problems with it nowadays. And I don't know. I like it. It's still just great to me. I just think you get a decent edge out of it and use. So I think S30V for this particular knife is perfect only because this isn't like the type of knife you're gonna beat the crap out of and use on a daily basis in a really hard way. This is just more of a medium, light to medium task user, you know. The action is very smooth and very nice. It's just it feels high end, you know, but it's not the most like if you it's not the most fidgetable, I'll say, if you're big into fidget knives, but it is fidgetable. If you keep playing with it, you'll find your niche and you'll be able to play with this very easily. The deployment hole that Spyderco often uses works nicely with this one. The only thing I would say is chamfering. Like there's some sharp edges on this knife altogether, and especially since it's a satin finish, it's a belt satin. They did a really nice job on this belt satin, but the edges, well, down here, these ones aren't so bad. They could be worse, but the edges in here are not chamfered very well at all. This one, it seems like it could be Matt kind of chamfered that himself, but I'm not too sure about that. Because the thumb action I notice is a little bit better. Oops, a little bit better than the reverse action. So the reverse actually tears up your nail unless you're the type that uses the meat of the finger. So that would be my only qualm with this. It's not going to be like a false shut action at first. You kind of got to give it a little wrist, and if you're trying to play with it and fidget and do and do your thing like we often, a lot of us do, you will be able to fidget with this guy. The pocket clip is going to be love and hate. I know there's plenty of people that hate pocket clips out there, but I am quite fond of them, and I'll tell you why. All right, so this smock isn't the best example, but the this pocket clip honestly works very well. I think it's nice and close to the body of the knife, and I really like that a lot. Even though it's close to the body to the knife of the knife, it still goes in and out of the pocket nice and easy. So this is an aftermarket milled titanium pocket clip. It is it the function is very nice, and it's so much better than that ugly one that they, I don't know, you guys know what I'm talking about, that ugly one they used. That's perfectly fine. It's loud and proud. It's a little too proud for my taste. But I like these. They go in and out of the pocket nice and easy. There's not much to get caught up on, especially if they do the little ramp here correctly, which they did. So it's going to go in the pocket just fine, and it's going to come out just fine because of this ramp right here. So it's nice and deep carry, and I think a lot of us can appreciate that. I do understand that weird love-hate thing with that, because I feel like it's going to be a knife specific, whether you like a wire clip or you don't. So the overall shape of it is completely unique. It's not something you see every day in the knife community or in the knife world, on knives. Especially, I've never seen a Spyderco that's anywhere near the shape of this. Like, this is definitely, it has to be just 100% Alistair Phillips design, and I think that the execution on Spyderco's part was very good. The Taichung plant is the one that did this one, and now I don't get me wrong, but I feel as though each plant, they do specific things amazingly, and Spyderco, for that reason, they're definitely top dog in the game. And but I love this knife. I think the way it's designed was very, very just useful. The overall look and feeling of the knife, I think, is very nice. One more thing is the little bit of chamfering right here. They could have used just a little bit. It's not that bad. You get used to it when you're playing with it, so it's not too bad. But they could have allowed for a little more, room for, I mean, because I don't have huge hands, so I can't picture someone with huge hands opening and, closing this knife with this compression lock without having to get used to it first. This thing is not going to be like your typical compression lock from Spyderco. I feel as though they give you way more room on other compression locks, and I could probably show you that if I could find. No, I don't know where my Parrot 3 lightweight is. It's missing in action actually right now. So, but the clearance on the compression lock, it could be a little more thoughtful. I think that they had enough to work with. I know this is a very skinny spot right here on the knife, but they had room to work with. I think they could have gave another couple millimeters, would have done probably a big, it could have made a big difference. So That's my only two qualms with this knife is the chamfering, especially on the hole in the back here, and then chamfering here. But mostly is I'm gonna say the clearance for the compression lock. And I know there's plenty of people out there that are very well seasoned with Spyderco knives. So I'm pretty sure the masses aren't going to have a huge problem with uh, manipulating this compression lock. So I mean, it's just something to keep in mind, I guess, when if you're going to ever get a Kapara. I don't know if they're discontinued. I personally don't have one of these in my collection, but I did want to do a review on it just because I was just intrigued by this design. I couldn't stop staring at the blade shape and the thoughtful way that they have almost like a downward motion. And this again just goes back to prep cooking with this knife. I think would be perfect, which in turn makes the washers perfect, which in turn makes the choil here perfect. It's just a very thoughtful design for food prep. And I guess one more thing. So I lied. Okay, I lied. I'm sorry. You caught me. No, I'm just kidding. There's no sharpening choil. That's the only big thing I would say that is lacking in this blade. Other than that, this blade, other than this little sharp edge back here and the zero sharpening choil, this is a cool full flat grind and it's a super slicer. This thing is terrific for cardboard and fruits, vegetables, even steak. If you have a nice edge on that, it'll go through steak like paper, you know. So I think this is overall a very thoughtful design for, especially for those who use their pocket knives in the kitchen. This is going to be something that will be valuable for years to come. And it is a little on the pricey side, I think, but I think that you could get over the price if you got the use that you thought you could out of this. Meaning, that came out wrong. I think if you are the type that uses, if you're a prep cook or whatever, and you do use that, this thing will end up paying for itself and it's gonna last for generations in your family. So if you're the type of person that takes really good care of your knives and you plan on passing down your knife collection to the next person to the next person, this will definitely be in that collection forever, if not at least decades. I can easily say that this will last decades because S30V is completely fine and I think it will last decades. Even though there's no sharpening choil, I think you can get quite a few great sharp edges out of this without putting a new edge on. So I don't think you're going to have to grind down a lot. Eventually, yeah. You're probably going to have to put, if you use your knives a ton, you're going to have to put a sharpening choil in there. Otherwise, it's going to be a mess. So there's only a couple bad things about this knife. That's the lack of the sharpening choil, lack of chamfering on the back here, you know, a little more clearance on the compression lock, I think. Unless you have tiny fingers, this thing, you're going to have to get used to it. But other than those little qualms with this is a great knife. I definitely recommend it. It's a great knife. And I appreciate my friend Android Goat loaning it to me. And if you guys have the chance, check out his channel. He's got a couple of things going on there. He's trying to get established here on YouTube. So give him go over there and follow him if you want to. Check out his stuff. Tell him I sent you. And on that note, if you have any questions about this that I did not answer, please sound off in the comments. And I would love to answer your questions if I know the answer. But on that note, I hope that you made it to the end. Please like and subscribe. And if you feel so inclined, share the news with all of your family and friends. You love this channel. You love this channel. No. All right, guys. I'm being stupid. But on that note, I'll see you soon.